What you give to her is not what ultimately sustains her commitment. This truth can feel difficult, yet it is one that many men must eventually face. You can invest endless hours, open your wallet without hesitation, and shower her with flowers or holidays. Even then, you may still hear the painful words, "I do not feel the same anymore." This moment often shatters men who have been taught that effort alone guarantees devotion. The illusion is that more sacrifice secures more loyalty. In reality, her bond is not tied to the size of your gestures, but to how she feels in your presence. It is not the expense or the sacrifice that matters most, but the spirit behind them. Are you acting from a place of calm strength or from a fear of losing her? Women naturally sense this difference. They respond less to the act itself than to the emotional foundation that fuels it. What holds weight is not the surface display, but the authenticity of your presence. In this conversation, we will uncover the deeper root of lasting loyalty and why seeking constant reassurance often backfires. We will examine the recurring mistakes men fall into, explore the psychology behind her shifting emotions, and present a way of leading with steadiness that encourages genuine connection. You will see why piling on effort can weaken your bond, while a grounded sense of self creates lasting strength. Let us begin. A dangerous belief is planted in many men early in life. The harder you work, the more secure her devotion will be. This belief drives men to work overtime, to fund vacations, to buy expensive cars, and to reshape their lives entirely in order to avoid her disappointment, all under the illusion that it will guarantee permanence. The truth is that effort alone does not equal loyalty. A man can execute every gesture flawlessly and still watch the relationship dissolve. Take the story of David, a 52-year-old sales manager in Boston. After his divorce, he vowed to approach love differently. When he met Clara, 48, he gave everything. Fresh flowers every week, extravagant trips, even paying off her old debts became routine. His friends cautioned him about going too far, but he refused to listen. For David, love was synonymous with sacrifice. Yet after 2 years, Clara finally said the words he dreaded most. "I no longer feel the same." David was left devastated, questioning how this could happen after so much giving. The problem was never the scale of his efforts, but the energy behind them. His generosity did not come from grounded confidence, but from fear. The fear that she might leave, and the fear that he was not enough. Women intuitively sense this. At a psychological level, attraction does not operate like a transaction. Commitment cannot be purchased with gifts or measured in hours. It emerges from the atmosphere you create through your presence. A woman remains when she feels your inner steadiness, and she turns away when she detects the undercurrent of neediness. A dangerous myth is planted in many men from an early age, the belief that the more they give, the more secure her devotion will be. This conviction drives countless sacrifices, from late nights at the office to pay for vacations, to luxury purchases meant to impress, to reshaping life entirely so she never feels disappointed. The sobering reality is that effort alone does not equal loyalty. A man can check every box, execute every gesture with precision, and still find himself facing separation. Consider the story of David, a 52-year-old sales manager in Boston. After his divorce, he resolved to approach love with new determination. When he met Clara, 48, he gave everything. Fresh flowers each week, lavish trips, even settling her old debts became a normal rhythm. Friends warned him that his giving seemed excessive, but he dismissed their concerns. For David, love meant sacrifice. Yet after 2 years, Clara spoke the words that left him shaken. "I no longer feel it." David was crushed. How could this happen after so much devotion? The truth was not hidden in the scale of his gifts, but in the energy beneath them. His actions did not rise from steady confidence, but from fear, the fear of her leaving and of his own inadequacy. Women sense this instantly. Attraction cannot be treated as a transaction, and devotion cannot be bought. It grows out of presence, not performance. A woman's loyalty is tied to what she feels in your company, not the list of contributions you accumulate. She remains when she perceives your inner strength, and she drifts away when she detects the weight of neediness. This is why some men who appear to give very little receive devotion, while others who give everything are left behind. The same action can carry different meanings depending on the intent behind it. David's flowers became less a gift and more a payment on an emotional insurance policy. Clara sensed that his gestures were not rooted in shared joy, but in desperation to hold her. This is the trap that ensnares so many men, mistaking sheer activity for genuine impact, and assuming movement always equals progress. When action is fueled by insecurity, it corrodes attraction instead of building it. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." The same applies here. When your gestures are not born from grounded strength, they are not authentic efforts, but performances. Performance may entertain briefly, but it rarely inspires devotion. The answer is not to stop caring, but to stop trying to purchase commitment. Instead, live in a way that naturally evokes it. This means setting boundaries, staying devoted to your own path, and ensuring your gestures flow from wholeness rather than fear. A dinner should be a shared joy, not a preemptive strike against loss. David learned this only after heartbreak. He redirected energy into his health, his work, and his friendships. When he re-entered the dating world, he no longer overwhelmed his new partner with gifts. Instead, he showed his true self, steady and self-assured. The result was that commitment formed naturally, without pressure. The lesson is simple, though difficult to accept. Her choice to stay does not rest on what you do, but on who you are while doing it. Stay with us, because if effort alone does not win devotion, the next insight will uncover what truly resonates with women, and why your inner state communicates far more powerfully than any gift or gesture. The crucial detail most men overlook is that women respond, less to the action itself and more to the intent behind it. You can offer flowers, plan a dinner, or bring a gift. She may smile politely, but what lingers is the emotional atmosphere surrounding the act. Imagine two men giving the same bouquet. One offers it calmly, simply enjoying the act of sharing beauty. The other offers it nervously, hoping it will stop her from pulling away. She notices the difference immediately. For her, one gesture is a shared moment, the other a weight of obligation. This is why many men burn out, increasing their efforts while not realizing their energy carries the heavy scent of neediness. From a psychological perspective, people are finely tuned to subtle cues, tone of voice, posture, rhythm of speech. These small signals combine to reveal your inner state. A woman does not need to analyze these details. She feels the atmosphere they create. When your energy is steady, she feels at ease. When it is chaotic, she steps back. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. This principle is central. You cannot control her perception, but you can control the state you bring into each act. Actions born from calm strength have substance. Those born from fear collapse under their own weight. Even something as simple as holding her hand can illustrate this truth. A relaxed grasp signals security. A tight, clinging hold signals desperation. The motion is the same, the energy entirely different. This principle applies beyond romance, into work and friendships as well. The intent shapes the impact. Women, in particular, guided by emotional attunement more than logic, are highly sensitive to this underlying current. This is why some men seem to do very little but remain magnetic, while others who do everything are met with indifference. The difference lies in presence, not effort. The shift is simple but transformative. Move your focus from a checklist of tasks to the state you embody before taking them. Send a message because you want to connect, not because you fear silence. Plan an evening because you genuinely enjoy her company, not as a strategy to hold her close. This change in intention changes everything. She will feel that you are with her, not performing for her. That authenticity is what inspires respect and ultimately loyalty. It is a paradox that when you stop trying to engineer commitment through endless deeds and instead strengthen your presence, loyalty begins to grow naturally. While she may notice what you do, she is far more deeply influenced by the energy you bring. Her feelings outweigh her observations every time. Keep watching, because to truly grasp the power of presence, you must also understand what weakens it most: neediness. That is our next focus. If a man wants to extinguish attraction, the fastest way is to show neediness. The surest path to transforming her desire into a sense of burden is to constantly seek validation, reassurance, and proof of her affection. The hard truth is that chasing her approval only drives her further away. Take the example of Daniel, a 50-year-old financial consultant who began dating Laura, 47, after his divorce. At first, he carried himself with an ease and confidence that she admired. Yet, as the relationship developed, he slipped into anxious habits. Daily texts asking if she was still happy. Gifts given not from joy but from insecurity. Slowly altered the connection. At first, Laura tried to reassure him, but eventually she confessed that it was not the gifts themselves, it was the intent behind them. She said, "Every gesture felt tied to an expectation, as if I had to return something in exchange." What Daniel thought was love became pressure. This is the essence of neediness. It does not nurture closeness, it suffocates it. Genuine affection flourishes where freedom is preserved. The moment it feels like a contract, where one action requires repayment, the bond begins to fade. From a psychological perspective, needy behavior signals scarcity. It communicates, "I am incomplete without you." No woman desires to carry the weight of being a man's source of worth. She wants to be a partner who enriches your already full life, not the foundation that keeps it from collapsing. The paradox is clear. The less you demand her to complete you, the more she feels drawn to you. When your attention is anchored in your work, your passions, and your principles, you create a space where she chooses closeness freely. When you cling, you place a burden on her shoulders, and affection slowly shifts into resentment. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "Very little is needed to make a happy life." It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. This is the remedy to neediness. A man who respects himself does not depend on external validation. His sense of worth is internal, and his emotions are not hostage to her responses. That autonomy is magnetic. Daniel discovered this only after his breakup. The loss forced him to reflect, and he realized his constant attention had been a strategy to secure love rather than to share it. Once he redirected his energy toward his own growth, focusing on fitness, friendships, and professional drive, something shifted. Women responded to him differently. His presence no longer carried the scent of neediness, but radiated confidence. The lesson is unmistakable. Neediness does not simply weaken attraction, it predicts rejection. Strength, independence, and authentic self-respect are what create the conditions where loyalty thrives. The takeaway is to stop demanding reassurance and stop trying to buy devotion with constant gestures. Invest in your own life instead. Build a foundation so strong that your sense of wholeness does not depend on her. That energy is what naturally attracts her. Stay with us, because if neediness poisons love, treating it as a transaction makes the damage even worse. That is where we go next. Affection is not a marketplace transaction, yet many men unconsciously treat it this way. The assumption is that enough investment of time, money, or attention should guarantee devotion. This creates an unspoken contract. Because I have given, you now owe me. Such arrangements suffocate desire rather than sustain it. The moment love is tallied like an account book, its essence fades. Each gesture begins to feel heavy, not because of the act itself, but because of the expectation tied to it. She does not feel cherished under these terms, she feels indebted. Obligation is one of the fastest destroyers of romantic attraction. The distinction lies between giving from fullness and giving from fear. A man who shares freely, without record keeping, radiates abundance. His message is, my life is already rich, and I choose to share it with you. A man who gives as a tactic to secure commitment radiates lack. His message is, I am incomplete, and I need you to complete me. Though the gestures may look the same, the underlying energy is entirely different. Psychology describes this as transactional love, where intimacy is reduced to a simple exchange. Yet attraction does not respond to trades or bargains. A woman is not inspired by a calculated deal, but by the depth of emotion she feels in his presence. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that every action carries consequences that ripple far beyond the moment. When your gestures consistently echo with obligation instead of freedom, resentment is the return you receive. Consider something as ordinary as a dinner together. If your intent is simply to enjoy her company, the experience is light and memorable. If your intent is to secure intimacy as repayment, she senses it instantly. The meal stops being a gift and turns into a currency exchange. This invisible pressure stifles desire. The irony is that the more transactional your approach, the less it yields, because true attraction cannot be forced. A woman wants to give her affection freely, not under compulsion. Lasting relationships thrive where giving is unconditional, not tracked on a mental balance sheet. This freedom is the soil in which desire flourishes. The shift required is to abandon the mindset of investment demanding returns. Give sincerely, not as strategy. Share from a whole self, not from fear of being left behind. By removing the demand for specific outcomes, your presence becomes lighter, more genuine, and more compelling. This is not a call to accept imbalance or disrespect. Boundaries remain essential, yet they differ completely from transactions. A boundary is a declaration of self. This is who I am, and this is how I expect to be treated. A transaction, by contrast, is a demand for repayment. The former fosters respect. The latter erodes attraction. The conclusion is unavoidable. Love dies under the conditions of a contract. Attempts to purchase commitment create confinement, not closeness. When you give from authentic strength, you foster trust and freedom. It is in this atmosphere that loyalty naturally takes root. Stay with us, because if transactional thinking destroys love, the next question is what sustains it. The answer is respect, a force stronger than any gift in building lasting devotion. To foster true loyalty, you must move beyond gifts, grand gestures, and efforts to impress. These are fleeting. The lasting foundation of commitment is built on respect. A woman cannot admire, and therefore cannot remain devoted to, a man she does not respect. Take the case of Richard, a 55-year-old business owner from Houston. During his first marriage, his approach was avoidance. He evaded conflict under the banner of peace, saying yes to nearly everything his wife wanted, even when it meant betraying his own convictions. On the surface, this seemed noble. In reality, it slowly dissolved her respect for him. She no longer viewed him as a partner with strength, but as someone unwilling to stand for himself. Without respect, her attraction faded, and eventually, her loyalty vanished as well. Years later, in his second marriage, Richard chose a new path. He upheld his standards. When situations felt wrong, he addressed them directly, not with hostility, but with steady firmness. This shift was transformative. His new partner did not simply love him, she admired him. His ability to set boundaries, take decisive action, and lead with confidence built deep respect. And that respect became the anchor of her loyalty. The lesson is clear. While charm, appearance, or generosity may spark attraction, only respect sustains it. Without it, desire declines. With it, commitment grows stronger. Psychologically, respect signals strength and dependability. A man with clear values who stands by them creates an atmosphere of security. A woman must feel her partner will not collapse under pressure or abandon his principles to avoid discomfort. It is this steadiness that wins respect, and from respect grows devotion. Marcus Aurelius once advised, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be." B1. Respect cannot be demanded. It is earned through conduct, through consistent alignment between words and actions. This principle can be seen in small moments. A man who apologizes automatically, even when innocent, may seem kind at first. Over time, though, such behavior appears weak. Contrast this with a man who listens carefully, reflects, and then speaks his truth with courtesy. That man commands admiration because he embodies reliability. A woman is naturally more loyal to a man whose presence conveys stability and conviction. Richard's journey illustrates this truth. The downfall of his first marriage was not caused by a lack of care, but by misdirected care. He thought loyalty could be secured through surrender. His second marriage thrived because he shifted from appeasement to principled leadership. This earned him something no gift could purchase: respect. The key takeaway is simple yet profound. To cultivate loyalty, stop asking, "What more can I do for her?" Instead, ask, "Am I living in a way that deserves respect?" Her commitment is not the product of endless labor, but of how she perceives your character when you stand firmly by your principles. If loyalty rests on respect, then we must look at the role of personal standards, because they act as a magnetic force that reshapes the entire dynamic of attraction. If respect is the soil in which loyalty grows, then your standards are the deep roots that sustain it. A man without them is seen as pliable, easily swayed, and ultimately weak. A man who defines and defends them, however, carries a natural gravity that draws others in. Confidence may ignite interest at first, but it is the presence of enduring principles, what you accept and what you refuse, that holds her attention across time. Standards are a quiet but powerful statement of self-worth. By upholding them, you are silently declaring, "I know my value and I will not bargain it away." That certainty is rare and deeply compelling. Women do not offer lasting loyalty to men who bend at every whim. They give it to those whose identity is firm. Picture a man without standards as a building without a foundation. It may look solid for a moment, but it crumbles under stress. A man with principles is like a structure built on bedrock. He may adapt to circumstances, but his core remains intact. This resilience inspires trust, and trust is the gateway to loyalty. Psychology affirms that human beings are drawn to certainty. When your values are clear and your actions consistently reflect them, you create an atmosphere of safety. She does not need to guess at your character or wonder if you will falter under pressure. Your principles anchor her perception of you. Marcus Aurelius expressed it well. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Your standards are precisely that. Your personal evaluation of what is acceptable. By living by them, you project mastery over yourself. Many men fear that setting boundaries will push women away. They worry that saying no will mean rejection. The paradox is that the opposite is true. She may push back in the moment, but beneath that resistance lies respect. A man who has no principles is easily manipulated, and we cannot truly admire what we can easily control. Boundaries create respect, and respect deepens attraction. For example, cancelling your own plans repeatedly to accommodate hers may feel generous, but over time it tells her that nothing in your life is worth protecting. This erodes her admiration. On the other hand, calmly explaining that you already have a commitment but are free afterward might spark a brief protest. Yet it builds respect. That respect becomes the very fuel that sustains both desire and loyalty. Upholding standards does not mean being rigid or cold. It means having a clear identity and refusing to trade it away for approval. It means guarding your time, your values, and your peace of mind. Paradoxically, this strength is what gives a relationship room to thrive. A woman's loyalty is tied to the emotional atmosphere she feels with you, and your unwavering standards create security and even healthy challenge in this way. You rise above the crowd of men seeking her approval. You'd become someone she can truly admire, and that admiration is the cornerstone upon which lasting loyalty is built. The key lesson here is to stop passively wishing for respect and begin living in a way that commands it. Define your values, protect them without hesitation, and let them guide your choices. A man of principle does not chase loyalty, comes to him naturally. And if standards are the root of attraction, then it becomes essential to see why pleasing undermines you, while leading elevates you. One of the hardest truths, often realized too late, is that trying too hard to please a woman almost always causes her to lose respect. Pleasing feels safe, constant agreement, unbroken compliance, avoidance of tension. It may even appear affectionate. In reality, it weakens your position because it stems from fear. Fear never earns loyalty. Strength does. And leadership is strength in action. Take Daniel 53 from San Diego. After his divorce, he swore never to argue again. With his new partner Rachel, 49, He surrendered every decision from restaurant choices to weekend plans. He avoided asserting boundaries, thinking this would keep the peace. The result? She grew restless. To her, Daniel felt less like a partner and more like a polite roommate, predictable, unchallenging, and uninspiring. Their separation forced him to reflect. He realized that what he thought was kindness was actually weakness, hiding in plain sight. In later relationships, he changed his approach. He took initiative, voiced opinions, and set boundaries with calm authority. His style was not domineering, but decisive. The change was dramatic. Women responded to his leadership with eagerness, respect, and attraction. The difference is simple. Pleasing is reactive, it bends to her direction. Leading is proactive, it declares your direction and invites her to join. One erodes respect, the other inspires it. From a psychological perspective, constant pleasing broadcasts insecurity. It signals that you doubt your own judgment and would rather outsource every choice to her. But this doesn't create comfort, it creates pressure. It places on her the role of leader, when what she truly desires is a partner whose leadership she can trust and lean into. As Marcus Aurelius said, "A man's worth is no greater than the ambitions he sets for himself." If your greatest ambition is merely to keep her happy, you reduce yourself in her eyes. But if your ambition is to pursue a life of direction and principle, she will want to walk beside you not from duty, but from desire. You can see this in the smallest moments. Repeatedly asking, "What do you want to eat tonight?" becomes exhausting. Saying, "I've booked us a table at the new place downtown," creates energy. Your decisiveness lifts the weight of decision-making from her and gives her the gift of certainty. That is leadership. Daniel's story proves the point. His attempt to preserve love through appeasement slowly drained it away. Once he embraced leadership, he became a man women respected and actively sought out. The conclusion is unmistakable. Appeasement, born of fear, weakens a relationship. Leadership, born of strength, fortifies it. A woman's loyalty belongs not to the man who yields endlessly, but to the one who leads with confidence. Would you like me to carry this forward into the next step? How leadership ties directly into creating desire that lasts, not just respect. The path forward becomes clear. If leadership is the spark, then the fuel that sustains it is strength, not fear. This distinction explains why some men effortlessly inspire lasting devotion while others struggle despite endless effort. Women are irresistibly drawn to strength and instinctively repelled by fear. And this has nothing to do with how much you can lift in a gym or how much money you have in your account. It has everything to do with the emotional atmosphere you create. Fear reveals itself in subtle but corrosive ways. The man who constantly asks, "Are you upset with me?" The man who avoids uncomfortable conversations because he worries she might leave. The man who tries to dictate who she sees or what she does, not out of authority, but out of insecurity in his own ability to hold her attention. Ironically, the more a man clings from fear, the faster she drifts away. Strength, on the other hand, speaks softly. It doesn't shout, control, or dominate. It steadies. It shows itself in calm during conflict, in clarity when emotions run high, in composure when uncertainty looms. Strength is the quiet confidence of a man who can govern himself. He does not try to control her. He controls his response to life. This is the man who earns trust, who commands respect, and who naturally draws companionship. Marcus Aurelius captured it perfectly. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. True strength is self-mastering, not the control of others. Psychology affirms this. Fear-based behavior carries the message, I need you to complete me. Strength-based behavior carries the message, I am already whole, and I choose to share my life with you. One traps her, the other frees her. And women are always drawn to freedom. You can see this polarity play out in daily moments. The fear-driven man panics at conflict, arguing, begging, or smothering her with reassurance. The strength-driven man listens, thinks, and responds with calm clarity. His presence soothes her storm instead of adding to it. She feels safer not because he silences her feelings, but because he demonstrates he can remain steady while she feels them. That stability is magnetic. It makes her lean in closer, because she knows she does not need to carry the weight of leadership alone. Fear reverses this polarity. It shifts responsibility onto her, pushing her into the stronger role. And nothing kills attraction faster than a man forcing a woman to feel stronger than him. Many men mistakenly rely on fear-driven tactics: control, appeasement, constant reassurance, believing it will secure her loyalty. In reality, it suffocates it. The truth is inescapable. Loyalty is born of respect, and respect is given only to a man who radiates strength. The moment you abandon fear and embrace composure, you stop chasing allegiance, it begins chasing you. And now we reach a fascinating paradox. While fear clings to love and kills it, strength provides freedom. It is this very freedom that secures loyalty. Let's explore why letting go is often the surest way to keep her close. Would you like me to carry the next section forward and develop this paradox of freedom? The essential insight is that loyalty thrives only when it is voluntary. Attempts to trap or contain it always fail, because love cannot survive in captivity. The men who cling most tightly often end up alone, while those who extend freedom are the ones women choose again and again. This is not passivity. It is strength. Granting freedom does not mean tolerating disrespect or neglect. It means trusting yourself enough to allow her autonomy without fear of losing her. A man who is complete in himself has nothing to fear from her independence, because his sense of worth is not dependent on her constant proximity or validation. From a psychological perspective, this taps into what researchers call self-determination theory. One of the deepest human needs is autonomy. When a relationship supports this need, it deepens. When it threatens it, it deteriorates. A woman's loyalty, therefore, is never the product of your control, but of her own chosen devotion. This paradox shows up in daily interactions. A man who interrogates her about every text message erodes trust. A man who calmly allows her space communicates quiet confidence. A man who panics when she needs time alone demonstrates insecurity. A man who uses that same time to focus on his own pursuits demonstrates self. The difference in outcome is vast. One creates distance. The other fosters closeness, as Marcus Aurelius observed. He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe. When you are secure internally, you no longer seek to bind her externally. This equilibrium is profoundly attractive, because it assures her that her love is welcomed, not required. James's transformation highlights this principle. His possessiveness destroyed his first chance at lasting connection. But once he embraced freedom as the foundation of love, women were drawn to him not because they had to be, but because they wanted to be. This shift from fear to freedom marked the difference between loss and loyalty. The final takeaway is this: stop trying to hold her. build such a grounded, substantial life that she wants to hold on to you. Freedom is not a threat to commitment, is the condition that makes it possible. Stay with us. Because if freedom is the soil of loyalty, then trust is the water that nourishes it. Without trust, even freedom cannot sustain devotion. The final lesson brings all previous principles into focus. Loyalty is not about what you give, what you provide, or even what freedoms you allow. It is about the emotional reality you create. A woman's devotion is not a ledger of your actions, but a reflection of how she consistently feels in your presence. She does not remain because you have checked enough boxes. She remains because your presence evokes feelings she cannot find elsewhere. Her loyalty is to the atmosphere of safety, vitality, and admiration you create, not to the mechanical acts you perform. Psychology affirms this truth. Human memory is not data-driven. It is emotion-driven. We do not recall exact words or precise numbers. We remember how someone made us feel. This is why identical actions from two men can generate opposite results. Confidence makes a gesture magnetic. Fear makes the same gesture suffocating. The Stoics understood this long before modern science confirmed it. Marcus Aurelius observed that happiness is an internal state, not a gift bestowed by external conditions. When you master your inner world, you project calm strength. She feels it, even if she cannot explain it. That emotional imprint, not your income, not your gifts, not your sacrifices, is what determines her loyalty. Consider again the men we've studied. John gave endlessly, but from fear, and lost her respect. Mike smothered with neediness, and she withdrew. Robert learned that respect was earned only when he lived by his standards. Daniel discovered that leadership was more magnetic than appeasement. James saw that freedom, not control, brought women closer. In each case, the outcome was dictated not by the visible action, but by the invisible energy behind it. The conclusion is inescapable. You cannot do your way into loyalty. You must be your way into it. A woman will not bind herself to a list of your efforts, but to the man who inspires her through his presence. Your task is not to perform, but to embody. This realization is profoundly liberating. You no longer need to chase, to overcompensate, or to exhaust yourself in pursuit of approval. Instead, you need only cultivate the qualities that naturally command respect and desire: self-mastery, purpose, calm, strength, and unwavering standards. When these are present, loyalty follows as a natural consequence, not as something to be begged for or purchased. The ultimate shift, then, is in your guiding question. Stop asking, "What more can I do for her?" and start asking, "What does she feel when she is with me?" Each moment with you either elevates her or erodes her. Focus on becoming the man whose presence consistently inspires admiration, safety, an attraction that is the essence of loyalty. It is not a prize you win through labor, but a bond freely chosen in response to who you are. When you truly understand this, fear disappears. You no longer need to grasp at loyalty, it comes to you, because your presence creates an emotional experience that is simply irreplaceable.